Heyo everyone, Zian over here from Nintendo Life. So on the channel, for the most part, whenever we play a game, a game that we really, really enjoy, we usually like to take some time and chat about it, share it with all of you, because obviously that we play video games, right? I think the audience doesn't have to answer that. But
is that what we do here?
I've played a video game.
Oh no, everyone knows that I'm not alone anymore. Well, now you're going to have to wait to find out who those people are, because obviously nobody knows who you are yet. Now, I don't know if this is really a problem necessarily, but something that a lot of us do as gamers or just people who watch YouTube gaming videos or read articles is we know if a video game is bad before it's even out, before we even have made the decision to purchase the game. But just because a game gets a bad score doesn't mean that you're not going to enjoy it. You can still have a lot of fun with it. So we thought it'd be fun if all of us basically pick a game that reviewed not the best, that we still really enjoyed, and kind of explain and defend the reasons why we liked it. And I'll be starting out this mini series of videos out with my favorite best worst Nintendo Switch game. And of course, I'm not alone. Who wants to go first?
Words.
That's Alex, by the way, and I think there's one more of us here, right? Didn't I hear a little John shout at the wind earlier?
You, isn't it? Isn't it you, Zion?
Oh, it is me. Hey, yeah, Oh, yeah, I introduced myself already, though, Alex, I think.
Oh,
man. Well,
it must be Brendan, then.
It must just be us two. I think...
Can you hear me?
Were you? Oh.
Hello, everybody.
Alex, you weren't around for this, but I think it's Ghost John.
Can you listen? Can you hear that? There's just faint noise in the background.
Can you hear me? I want to talk about video games.
If we stay really still, I think it'll leave.
It's not likely.
John, you can just come out. You can come out. You can come out from under the covers. It's okay.
Am I allowed
Come out
in?
from under the bed, John.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mum.
So, sorry for being so awkward there. I just wanted to talk to you guys about this weird Switch game that I don't think anyone has actually played.
No one.
No one?
Not even you?
Yeah, I've played it. And I guess the person that reviewed it on Nintendo Life also played it. But I think that's about it, pretty much.
Oh, okay. Before you tell us what it is, what score out of 10 did it get?
Oh, so not the worst score in the world, but not a great score. It got a 6, which on the Nintendo Life scale means that it is not bad. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the world these days, I feel like we get so many video games that sometimes, like a person, like even me, I'll do this from time to time too, but we might look at a 6 and be like, I don't have time for that. There's too many 8s out there in the world.
Yeah, totally. It's just our medium too, like movies. They'll get maybe a 2-star rating, and people will still be like, well, that's all right. But if you gave a game like a 2 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10, it's like, oh, that's garbage. Staying far away from that.
Yeah, it's a strange old world.
I feel like we've talked about this before. I'm a big fan of rhythm games, but I also really like anything with just like a big cartoony world, something unique, something that isn't based on like an already pre-existing series. I love Scott Pilgrim. And on top of just loving rhythm games, I'm a sucker for a nice beat. Even if you just have good music in the game, that helps a lot for me. But it came out, and we didn't really love it. I think I saw a few other reviewers reviewed it, and they weren't as big of a fan either. But I was like, I'm still buying this game day one. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna find out for myself. This game looks too good. And that game is No Straight Roads. Have either of you heard of this game at all?
I've never heard of this game.
I have. Yeah, I have heard of it. I saw that, sort of in the run-up to release, I know we got a lot of PR through for it, and I saw people on Twitter talking about it, and then, yeah, it came out, and I don't know whether it was just the Switch version, but yeah, it didn't do all that well. I don't know how the others reviewed. Do you know at all, Zion, how the other versions of the game reviewed?
They didn't score a whole lot higher than Switch, I think. So I hope nobody gets too mad about this, but I actually played the game on PlayStation 4. I can feel myself being choked right now. But I actually looked at it. I looked into the Switch version. and it's basically it's graphically inferior to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and the game might be on PC as well. But otherwise, the game still runs well enough on Switch that you can go play it there on most platforms. But Switch is just it's graphically it's not as good. But basically, the game is still the same. You play as these two kind of like indie rock band members named I think Mayday and Zook. One of them plays guitar and one plays drums. And the game, for the most part, is like a hack and slash action game. I don't want to compare it to Devil May Cry because it's not as like combo heavy and it's not as frantic as something like that. But you basically you're this indie rock band named Bunk Bed Junction, and you live in this world that is kind of like being overrun by EDM, and these two kids in their band are like trying to. I think they end up wanting to like get on the radio, or they want to like win an award. I played this right when it came out, so it came out in August of 2020, so it's been over a year now. So my memory's a little hazy, but they're basically trying to like either win like a big like battle of the bands, or they're just trying to like get on the radio and but also simultaneously take down this EDM like empire, because that's all people listen to anymore, and they've like forgotten about rock at this point. And so,
for clarity, if anyone's confused, EDM is electronic dance music.
The game takes place in like an open world where you get to kind of run around the city, which has a really cool name that I'm totally blanking right now. But you get to run around the city and you find there's like different realms to explore. And I shouldn't say it's open world. It's more like there's a hub world rather that you get to roam around in, and then those connect to the actual levels that of the game. But each level is mostly set around like a specific artist that you have to take down. So like the first one is a DJ, and oh no, go ahead.
I'm going to kill this musical performer. Mission 1, destroy Kanye West.
It kind of is like that, but in game form. And I don't know if there's really any references to like specific, well-known artists out there. The second one, though, the second boss is probably my favorite, because I think the song for that as well, I've listened to like on YouTube. I've streamed it over and over again, and I have the theme stuck in my head right now, and I'll probably throw it on in the background behind this video. But the second boss, I don't want to necessarily spoil for everyone, but it is, so I'll be light about it. But it's basically like you're fighting a Vocaloid, like Hatsune Miku, but the character's a mermaid. And as you're fighting this character, they're slowly kind of losing control of themselves, and it's a really entertaining boss battle. But I think that's the thing that I loved about the game so much, is that the music and the characters and the world come together in such such a unique package. It's not as necessarily like it doesn't play as good as some like other classic rhythm games like Parappa the Rapper or Guitaru Man. Like, this is more of an action adventure game with a rhythm spin. And whenever you're fighting as well, you have like there's a meter in the middle of the screen or in a corner or something. But regardless, it will. The better you're doing, the more hits you're landing, the more the music will shift, and it'll change into like a rock style instead, versus if you're taking more hits and you're like almost dead and you're losing, the music will start changing to an EDM soundtrack instead. And that's kind of like interesting as well, that they were actually able to like manage that shift.
Yeah.
So basically, like there's all these interesting aspects to the game that I think 100%, like if you just want something different and something with a short runtime, I think this took me like 8 or 10 hours. Like, I can't recommend it enough. The only thing, though, is that the combat it feels like the game wasn't necessarily play tested super well, or it wasn't play tested enough. Because I remember when I was fighting the first boss, like, there aren't a lot of buttons that you can use to attack. Like, the game isn't that it's not that like rich in that regard. Like, I know I compared it to Devil May Cry, but you don't have like tons of different like weapons to equip, and it's a hack and slash, but you don't have like a wealth of different attack types.
More Golden Axe than the other one you said that I've forgotten the name of, because I'm an idiot.
No, that's a much better, like, it's like it's
Devil May Cry. That's it. For some reason, my first thought was Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's a very simple hack and slash in that regard. For example, there's the first boss. You have to run around a kind of like a track field almost. And except for I think you're more supposed to think of it like you're running around Saturn, and the DJ is kind of in the middle, kind of where the planet would be. And so you're running around, and there's like hazards that are popping up on the track that you're supposed to dodge. But then the enemy is also shooting, I think, rockets or something at you as well that you have to either deflect or just jump out of the way. And then you also have to destroy these like machines that are on the platform, and those I think do damage to the enemy, or you collect health from that. I don't remember exactly, but I remember like being stuck on that boss for, I don't know, a way longer than I felt like I should have. And it was the first boss in the game, and there are other bosses throughout the game that end up feeling just as janky, I guess, and I think that's kind of where the game falls, is that this is more of like I don't want to say it's more of an experience, but this is just it's very cinematic. Like the graphics are very well done. I think it runs probably at a faster frame rate on PS4 than Switch as well. And the music, like there are tracks that will be stuck in your head for days on end if you like, especially if you go look them up after you're done with the game. There's a lot of really good music to like just jam out to, or even chill beats to study and relax to. But I think it's just the actual combat, like playing the game itself, is just not as fun as I was hoping it was going to be. Like I in my head, I was like, this is going to be like the next Psychonauts. Like like even graphically speaking, if you compare the two, they're very similar in that regard. And because you're jumping through to all these different worlds and meeting these fresh new characters, and it didn't really meet that expectation for me. But I think there's just still so much to love here that I think in like 10 or 20 years, people are going to be talking about this game, but nobody will know about it because there were so many other great games to play at the time. But I at the end of the day, I think there's still like enough weird stuff and like enough creativity like in this game that's unique to itself that I think it'll be like, we'll be able to look back on it and remember it fondly, even though the combat isn't perfect. But
I hadn't heard of this game before you mentioned it, and I've been kind of looking up gameplay and screenshots while you were talking. And what's kind of striking is the fact you couldn't find a comparison. Like, you kept falling on Devil May Cry. And I think that's kind of telling to what this game is that there aren't really any direct comparisons, which is what makes it special. Like, so many 8 out of 10s and 9 out of 10s are very iterative or similar to what's come before. Because they're kind of safe, because they're great because we know they're already great. And that's kind of the standard we've all kind of fallen into. We don't really play bad games that often anymore, because we have reviews, because there's standards for what's laid the groundwork in the past. But what makes these kind of games interesting is not only are they flawed, but they're doing something very, very unique and new, which just makes this one really appealing. Well, by the sounds of it, anyway.
yeah, I think that's a really good point.
So if you were to review this, not the, I know, sort of you said you played the PS4 version, but if they're essentially the same, if you were to review this, what would you give this out of 10? Just go for it. Why not?
I like that. I think because of the fact that I still walked away from the game frustrated with the combat, wishing that there was something more there. And it was a fun and quick game as well. Like, I think if this was like a 30-40 hour game, I would not have walked away as happy as I did. But I think it was because I didn't feel like I lost a lot of time to it, and I still, I learned about all this great music, and I got to see this like visual feast for the eyes. I think that is kind of what made me enjoy it so much more. I probably would still give it somewhere around like probably a 7 myself, I think, just because of the combat. But if they nailed that down, maybe I would go up to like an 8 or possibly a 9. But I think a 7 is that's probably where I would sit.
That sounds quite interesting. As I say, I saw loads of stuff about the game just before release and everything, and I didn't really look into it that far. But then when we got the review came out, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, but I might give this another look now.
Awesome. Yeah, seriously, anybody who's into like a fun, like weird platformer, I'm just realizing the game in the US is rated E for everyone too. It has like some, on the back of the box, it claims it has alcohol reference. I don't really remember that, but the story.
Rated E for Xeon.
Oh, yep, that's, because there's definitely an E in my name, right, guys?
From a phoneme point of view, there is.
I suppose you're right. Well, I guess that's enough about me talking about my pick. I think we have to go and record a chat for you guys to release in a couple days here, don't we? As well, both you, Alex and John.
Stay tuned for my best worst Switch game, and indeed John's. Can you imagine all three of us doing our own thing. Crackers. Absolutely crackers.
And we have no idea what anyone's picked either, so this will be fun. So yeah.
I know what I've picked.
Do you? Are we supposed to know going in?
Oh, John.
Oh,
John.
no. I was just going to say whatever comes out of my mouth. Mario.
Hey,
I won't lie. Yesterday, I had 2 games sitting on my desk, and then this morning, I was still like holding them in my hands, like, which one do I choose? Which one gets to pass go and collect $200? But of course, let us know in the comments down below if you enjoyed hearing me ramble about this game for 10, 15, 20. It could be an hour. Who knows how long I'm going to stretch this video actually out. Let us know. Oh gosh, there's a snake in my throat.
There's a snake in my boot.
And let us know if you've ever actually played No Straight Roads, or if you've heard anything about it, or if you're going to go give it a shot after this. I think that's the reason why we're making these videos, is because we want to promote a game that we've played that we really enjoyed, that maybe other people didn't know about, or just passed over. So let us know down below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, then why don't you go ahead and pretend that subscribe button is an EDM empire and you are a rock band. Go take that subscribe button down by giving it a very nice and polite click, and then ring the notification bell to be notified whenever we put up new videos. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next time.
Oh.